Strap in and strap on. This is Movie Sense.
All right.
All right, everybody, welcome to Movie Sense.
Quick question. You told the audience to strap on?
I think,
or to us to strap on?
And what are we strapping in?
It's a Mad Max reference.
Oh, all right. It's fine then.
Yeah, it's a Mad Max reference.
Sounds all right.
Cool show. You don't question it, right?
No, don't. It's all right, guys. Welcome to Movie Sense. This is the Spotlight series. The Spotlight series focus on one director and the films that they're most popular for. We're going to be covering Guillermo Del Toro, you guys.
All right.
Guillermo Del Toro, GDT himself, and the reason why is because Shape of Water is coming out this weekend, which is directed by Guillermo Del Toro.
Yeah.
It's been out for a while actually through the independent film circuit. So it's already been out, been seen by a lot of critics. It's got a lot of great reviews.
Yep, really good.
Nice. I'm excited about this, you guys. Guillermo Del Toro is directing it, starring a couple of favorites of mine. Octavia Spencer is the quirky black woman in any movie. Really, Octavia Spencer. Ever since The Help, I've loved her.
Oh, yeah.
What about you?
I've liked her so far. So far, so good with her.
Really?
Not personally, just watching through the
Quirky black woman.
The quirky black woman. And then we got Sally Hawkins, and she's in a lot of great movies like Blue Jasmine, and that's the only one I can think of with Sally Hawkins. So I'm going to put up a picture of her now. And General Zod himself, Michael Shannon.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Actually,
always trust the person with
Aquaman. So.
I think guys, when we hear of Michael Shannon, we go, "Oh, we love me some Michael Shannon."
Yeah, Michael Shannon
is the worst shithead right away.
He's always good at playing the bad guy.
Just the worst bad guy.
Yeah.
Always trust a guy with 2 first names.
Just never trust a guy with 3 first names.
I like how Shannon can be both a male and female.
Don't
name.
trust Shannon with them.
Don't trust any Shannons.
Male Shannon, never.
So Shape of Water. Okay.
First, trust anybody with 2 first names, but don't trust any with the name
with 3, and never trust a guy with the name Shannon.
Oh man. Shannon Sharp, we're on to you.
Shannon Sharp. Okay, well,
NFL reference.
that's our segue. Our segue onto guys.
Aren't you
we're gonna cut
introduce
a lot
us?
of that. Yeah, I am going to introduce you guys.
Look at you.
All right.
I'm your host, Don Selby, or DJ Selby, as I like to be called personally, DJ Selby.
Yeah, of course.
I have with me, as always, Mark Flores, and you can find Mark on Instagram, right?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram under Mark F's Modern Life, or a new Plenty of Fish profile, V for Vagina.
Hot.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Ladies.
I feel like
Makes
it's a little
sense.
bit on the nose.
That's a little too accurate, if
Okay.
I could say so myself.
That ain't the only thing on the nose.
Oh,
okay.
All right. And I'm introducing Justin Mua. Justin Mua, they can find you on Instagram, right?
Yep. Under Justin Mua, and the link should be probably like right there somewhere.
I don't like this running
One
bit
day
at all.
I'll
It's
get
right
it.
here. And finally back, Adam Romero.
I'm fresh off of baby syndrome. We're
Yeah,
doing it
baby
today.
syndrome.
Papa.
A big daddy papa.
Papa.
And my Instagram is too long and too confusing. DJ will
Adios.
absolutely post it somewhere.
Adios and
on the
ciao
screen.
ciao, right here.
Why bother? Yes.
Okay, so Guillermo Del Toro, you guys, he is coming out with Shape of Water. We are going to do a Bet Your Bottom Dollar on Shape of Water. Basically, it's a movie focused on the Cold War. It's this dark fantasy sci-fi movie. You have these 2 women working for a government facility, and they discover something or someone that might change their life. And, you know, guess who the bad guy is in this movie?
Shocker. Michael Shannon.
Maybe. I don't think it's The Shape of Water. So other Guillermo Del Toro movies, Guillermo Del Toro, he's done a lot of different things, not just directing. He's produced a lot of great movies. He's done a lot of different sets as far as an artist goes, you know. But as far as directing, he did Mimic, which
Oh yes.
1997 horror classic Mimic.
Yeah.
It's more of a cult following, as well as when we move it forward to 2004, you got Hellboy.
Oh yep.
And then we get to get a look at the Hellboy franchise from Mark Miller's comic series, right?
Yeah.
Mark Miller. And then we look at 2006, we get Pan's Labyrinth, which is one of my personal favorites.
I think that's probably by far his most famous work right there.
Pan's Labyrinth?
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people who watch this don't even know who he is. So I'm assuming they know who Pan's Labyrinth, that movie.
Yeah.
And then a little bit more of a blockbuster movie was Pacific Rim. And that one came out around 2013, and I love that. That was my hidden gem for 2013.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
along with
Hell of a movie.
Yeah, along with my puberty. And then what else did he do? He did Blade 2 as well, right?
Oh,
Adam?
yes.
He definitely
I don't want to forget Blade 2 because that's like one of your favorites.
Yeah, because I'm so hot off Blade 2. I mean, who doesn't love Wesley Snipes? I mean, really, what's not to love about Wesley Snipes?
I mean, well, his arrest record.
Yeah, and his tax record.
Yeah, his tax record.
The first Marvel superhero, the first successful one. Let's give him that.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
give him that
that's
accolade.
true.
Give
First
him that.
Marvel
Yeah.
successful hero.
Wait, no, I'd probably say Ben Affleck Daredevil once.
Ben Affleck, Daredevil.
Yeah, that was probably a
And we're
Good
gonna
one,
cut.
Justin.
We're
Good
gonna
one,
cut
Justin.
that.
That's a good joke
Get it
there,
in, Jack.
buddy.
All right, we're gonna cut that one out.
No, you gotta leave it in for the fans.
Cut that on.
I do not like that idea.
I don't.
So let's kick it off with one of our favorites, starting from one of Guillermo Del Toro's first movies, Blade 2. Blade 2 is a vampire movie. It's part of the trilogy, Wesley Snipes. What do you think?
Synopsis, I mean, it's a quick one. It's pretty by the books. He's coming back to, he's getting recruited. There's a vampire he's a rogue vampire, you would say, a mutant vampire. And it has a lot of little vibes of it's almost like a precursor to like a Resident Evil series. They have the tentacles coming out of the mouth. They have this.
Yeah,
So a lot of that weirdness, and he's recruited so that way his team's in there to conquer them.
Right.
You know? So
I think for like a superhero movie genre during that time, especially, it was very good.
yeah.
You know, especially with the aesthetics of the vampires themselves and everyone's costumes and everything. You know, it was very different.
Well, yeah, and I think that the costumes, the sets, the movie, the whole vibe of it was a little different than the first Blade. When I saw the first Blade, I was thinking like, is this like the male version of Queen of the Damned? I wasn't sure when I watched the first Blade. It was very like Queen of the Damned, hip hop based.
A lot of leather.
Horror, a lot of leather, a lot of strobe lights were involved.
It's good to see the better directors show up from the trilogy itself.
Yeah, and this is a good idea of Guillermo with the dark theme, the very dark. You see, the very nice.
I mean, there's
low-
attention
the
to
low-
detail.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of
definitely.
low colors. Yeah, they were great. It was good.
So Guillermo del Toro, what he was next famous for was another comic book movie, was Hellboy.
Oh yes, the Hellboy 1 and 2.
Hellboy 1 and 2. Hellboy came out in 2004. I remember when I first saw it, I was kind of taken back by such the... it was because during that time CGI was really popular and a lot of people were going
definitely.
CGI, and with this you didn't have so much CGI, you had more so costume design and focus.
Yeah.
And you liked Hellboy and Hellboy 2.
So with Hellboy 1, they really... It strayed a little bit away from the comic itself being, because the comic is very edgy, very dark and Blade and all that. This one, the way he approached it was a lot more different. He actually went with more of like a whimsical type of environment and feel with it, which was, it worked. It actually worked. It didn't kill the whole vibe of Hellboy. It actually made it pretty good.
Okay, so I mean, especially how Guillermo focused on a lot of the aesthetics of these characters and created. There was that one that stuck out to me. What was his?
Abe Sapien.
Abe Sapien. Okay.
Played by Doug Jones, and the cool thing is Doug Jones, he's done a lot of work with Guillermo del Toro himself.
Is it Guillermo del Toro or Gilmore? Is it Gilmore Girls del Toro?
Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, is Gilmore? Does Gilmore Girls come from?
Abe had a lot of coffee in between, and he would come up in the water, have coffee, and then he would talk about how he was yanking her up, and then he'd go back.
I feel like you had a lot of coffee saying that.
Gilmore Girls del Toro.
Is that where Gilmore Girls come from?
Yeah,
Is that Guillermo's
that's
daughters?
Guillermo's daughters. Yeah.
Okay, so
They're Guillermo girls.
the running theme though with Hellboy, Blade 2, a lot of his movies is he pays attention to detail.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're talking about Abe Sapien and just looking at him. I mean, who here?
It was all aesthetics.
Yeah.
And I don't think most of it was CGI at all.
No.
A lot of it was just straight, how would you say it? Paintwork and everything.
Yeah, it's paintwork.
Yeah.
It's
Aesthetics,
It's aesthetics.
all
It's
that
props. I mean, when you saw Hellboy 2, what stood out to you most?
Oh, so definitely when it comes into Hellboy 2, they dive deeper into the lore and the whimsical and the whole fairy tale, mystical side of it, which is really amazing.
Yeah.
They go underground, they meet all these trolls and different creatures, and you learn about backstories of other creatures and all that, and it creates this whole new environment
Right.
where it, encapsulate you. Is that even a word?
Encapsulates?
No, it doesn't sound like the right word. No, how would you?
It encapsulates. No, it encapsulates. For sure. Let's move forward, you guys, because I'm having a blast.
Oh my god. That sounded so dry. I'm having a blast, you guys.
Moving forward, 2013 Pacific Rim, post Transformers, dark.
Sandwiched in with 2014's Godzilla.
Oh yeah.
What could you tell us about Pacific Rim?
So Pacific Rim is Guillermo del Toro's first jump into sci-fi fantasy, where he's dealing with oversized mechs taking on kaiju, the beasts from the Pacific Ocean. It's also his most financially successful movie. It actually is one of the first domestically, in the eyes of critics, a failure, but internationally, it's one of the highest grossing films of 2013 internationally.
Yeah.
Because their main market was geared towards China, which is a huge booming movie industry right now.
Yeah, when you're thinking mechs, you're thinking overseas. You're thinking more. I don't want to say
Gundams, Robotech.
Yeah. Kaiju's, right there. Kaiju. Yeah. I think it's something for monsters.
There.
So when the kaiju start attacking a lot more frequently, they the person behind the Jaeger project, which is the offensive for the humans, the big mechs, ends up bringing an old leader, an old co-pilot of one of the Jaegers to try to do one last ditch effort to try to defeat the kaiju.
Wipe out the kaijus, the monsters.
Yeah.
And
great film.
Yeah.
I thought it was, for it being Guillermo del Toro's first jump into sci-fi fantasy, I thought it was incredible.
Yeah.
A lot of attention to detail. You see when the mechs rise up out of the water, you see the water drip off the mechs. Even the blood from the kaijus is actually neon blue.
Yeah.
And everything surrounding the environment.
Very colorful.
Whether it be the city skyscrapers, whether it be just the backgrounds for where the robots and where the Jaegers are made, tons of attention to detail. Classic Guillermo del Toro.
I think it was by far his most CGI movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But even then, when they're wearing their mech suits, outside of the robot, it was very detailed.
Right.
So I thought that was very cool, right?
With Pacific Rim, one of the things that I found the most interesting is that when you compare it to these other big blockbuster hits like Transformers, like Godzilla, you're getting a little bit more layers to this movie. You're getting more layers. There's underlining stories.
The whole black market where they go through...
Yeah, you got that secondary
organs.
world. Yeah, you got that secondary world. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, it's more of a Transformers, like you said, was more of a Michael Bay, just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, versus just a little bit of story behind the explosions. Just
it's funny. It's funny because it's a more complex story, those other movies, but this movie has deeper meanings and layers.
Yeah, one thing that a lot of directors aren't ambitious enough to do is to implement a story arc to where the mind is, you need two minds to co-pilot these big mechs.
To link up, yeah.
And it's hard to set up the drift storyline to where these two pilots have to be in sync with each other 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Not a lot of directors can go that route, and look who did it.
It's really impressive because when he does this movie, much like his other movies, there's so many different backstories and subplots that it all ends up making sense, and it's not too confusing.
A great takeaway that I was able to get from Guillermo del Toro watching Pacific Rim was the fact that I realized that this was his first venture into sci-fi fantasy, and for him to have a challenge for that and to be so successful at it shows you that he can pretty much delve into any genre that he wants and at least be above average to at least an average director in his first venture out. You see a lot of directors take the first jump into horror or take the first jump into drama and not be successful at it, as did Guillermo with Pacific Rim.
Nice.
Very important to see that characteristic.
I like it. Moving on to one of my personal favorites that Guillermo del Toro to me is the definition of what he seeks with horror elements in a lot of his movies. He gives these horror elements, these sci-fi, Pan's Labyrinth. Pan's Labyrinth, to me, if you're not familiar with Pan's Labyrinth came out in 2006, so it's not the newest movie out there, but I will say this, it doesn't age. It really doesn't, because the effects, the makeup, the sets, everything about it is very just vibrant, and it almost feels real. Like,
it sets a tone.
It sets a tone.
Definitely a tone.
And I mean, basically, the breakdown of Pan's Labyrinth, it takes place in Spain. It's in Europe, and it's during post-Civil War 1944. So it has these very eerie, dark elements to the to that country, to that vibe. It's, you know, the cold air. It's never really sunny. It's about this girl. She's with her mom, and they're moving in with her, you know, new stepdad. And then the stepdad, he's like this commander in the military, and he's just this real, you know, arrogant, rude, you know, tough person, tough exterior. So you could tell right away he's not a protagonist. He's definitely an antagonist type. And Guillermo Del Toro takes it a step further by having this girl, you know, you don't know if she's imagining this world, but it's like this simulated, you know, backstory, Alice in Wonderland type of vibe world that this little girl encounters and goes into. You know, when you think Labyrinth, you're thinking puzzles, and that's what it is. It's a puzzle. It's
creating just that mindset. Just letting you think deeper.
And, you know, this young girl, she escapes into this fantasy, and she's surrounded by these different creatures, and she has to kind of connect the dots, and she plays this little adventure. And during that time, her, you know, her mom is, you know, living with the new husband, and you're experiencing what's going on with that other element of what's going on with the war, and there's rebellions going on against them, so you kind of get that vibe. So you have the war vibe. So this is a fantasy, this is a war, it's all meshed together, and again, he's not confusing the viewer. You know what I mean?
You mentioned earlier in our conversation what we had before we started this is that Guillermo del Toro makes characters within Pan's Labyrinth that, without you even knowing them, that you are easily afraid and or intimidated by them.
It has like these spectacular visuals that are both like beautiful but horrifying when you look at them, you know. And I mean, I remember looking at the picture of Guillermo del Toro face to face with one of the creatures in the movie, and he's one of the main characters. And I don't want to. I feel like a lot of people haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth, so I'm not going to get too into detail. But I'm going to pop up that picture. You'll see it right now, and you just get that face to face of the, you know, the creator with the creation and what it looks like, and just the method he went with that. It's really cool. I mean, he does a lot of work with setting the tone, setting the vibe. He's creating this cold atmosphere in this movie, and it's still very visually striking. It's very comfortable, and it's very
I just like
it's
how
very what
it's comfortable and it's challenging and it's
challenging, definitely.
whimsical.
I was waiting for Justin to say whimsical.
Oh, sorry.
Despite it being uneasy for you to watch, you still are intrigued to actually go through with the whole movie experience.
You just want it.
Guillermo del Toro, he does a good job at foreshadowing, and if a lot of people don't know what foreshadowing is, it's similar to a metaphor where you take an instance with an event that takes place beforehand, and it has similarities to the ending, to the culmination. So, for example, I'm just going to throw a sample foreshadow. Let's say a little girl finds a butterfly and is slowly dying. Well, eventually, later in the movie, the butterfly is a representation of a main character who dies.
It definitely is a representation.
It's a representation. It's a representative of temptations. It's a representative of temptations. The foreshadowing, though, it takes place throughout in a lot of Guillermo del Toro's movies, and he did this really clearly with Pan's Labyrinth, and I liked that because it gives the viewers kind of a break. Like, okay, he laid this one out for me. Thank you. That's a given. I don't have to think too hard, you know? And Guillermo del Toro, one of the things I noticed with all these movies that we mentioned, the characters, a lot of these main characters, that they're all sci-fi, they're all fantasy, and the way that he creates them with the costumes, with the makeup, as minimal CGI as possible, he makes these characters very relatable. Very easy for us to say we can step into that world and experience it ourselves. Like it's possible, you know. For a minute we can think that we're there, and it's not unrealistic. And I mean, with a lot of these other blockbuster movies, you get that unrealistic vibe and unrealistic factor, and those are fun to watch. You know, the big crashes and the booms. I'm talking Fast and Furious. I'm talking, you know, Transformers. I'm talking even Avengers. I mean, these movies, I don't feel I can step into those worlds. With Guillermo del Toro, when he creates these sets, when he creates the makeup, the costumes, it's so realistic and load bearing as far as being able to just see the work that he put in that capacity, that I truly believe that it's relatable and I can walk into that set, and it's a great form of watching a movie. It's a great way to enjoy something.
Realistically, he has such a wide range in his movies. I mean, he does horror, sci-fi. He has just a huge range, and he's smart in the fact that he can drive you in. You know, when you go in to watch a Guillermo del Toro movie, you know, I'm getting something out of it mental. I know I'm going to get a little bit of a backstory, a little bit deeper feel in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something pretty unique in a director where you have like Steven Spielberg. You know, you're going to have a nice blockbuster film, but is there going to be a backstory there? It's just going to be...
Is it going to have some meat to the bones?
Yeah.
Some meat to the bones.
It's nice to know that it's going to be there every time you see it, small or big.
Yeah. So the Spotlight series, you guys, I'm excited about it because this is kind of a new take on things. A lot of people out there that do a lot of movies and channels, when they're focusing on a specific director, I feel like they don't really run down what his overall theme is with these movies, because a lot of directors have their own visions and core values, and they follow this set of tracks. And with Guillermo del Toro, like you said, escapism.
Yes.
Escapism is where it's at, and you can escape into Guillermo del Toro's world. I kind of want to see it. Kind of want to escape into his world. If there's any world I want to escape into, it's GDT.
Yeah, GDT.
Yeah, GDT.
Hopefully GDT does a movie with JTT in the next coming future.
Who's JTT?
All right, for you post-millennials or pre-millennials.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Did you know that?
How? What?
Yeah.
Sorry, mental escapism.
You know.
Escapism.
Alright guys, this was the Spotlight series. I had fun, sorta, and you will too. So strap off and strap out. We're out. Bye.
All right.
Guys.
You guys.
Okay.